Commander Dae-ho Kim stood in the control room of Mars Defense Station and watched something that should not exist. The large screen in front of him showed a ship coming out of empty space near Mars. The ship looked old and damaged, but he knew those markings. Every person who worked in space knew those markings. They belonged to the HFY Horizon Walker, a ship that had been gone for 15 years. Dae-ho felt his hands shake as he stared at the screen. The Horizon Walker had left Earth 15 years ago with 200 brave people on board. Their mission was simple but dangerous. They wanted to reach the Andromeda Galaxy and see what was there. No human had ever gone that far from home. The ship had the best technology Earth could build and the smartest people Earth could send. Then one day, all contact stopped. The ship just disappeared like it had never been there at all. Lieutenant Bo-Ra Park sat at her station and tried to make sense of the signals coming from the ship. Her fingers moved fast over her controls as strange sounds filled the room. The signals were not normal. They had patterns she had never seen before. The computer could not understand them either. But then something came through that made her heart stop. It was a voice speaking in Korean. Mars Defense Station, this is Captain Woo Jin Lee of the HFY Horizon Walker requesting immediate docking permission. Bo-Ra looked at Dae-ho with wide eyes. Everyone in the control room stopped what they were doing. Captain Woo Jin Lee had been the commander of the Horizon Walker when it disappeared. Bo-Ra had studied his records in the academy. He was a hero to many young officers like her. But this voice sounded different. It was older and tired in a way that went deeper than just years. "Sir, what should I tell them?" Bo-Ra asked. Dae-ho did not answer right away. He was looking at the readings from their sensors. The numbers made no sense. The ship was giving off energy patterns that their computers had never seen before. The hull was made of materials that should not exist according to everything humans knew about science. Even stranger, the ship seemed to be in two places at once according to their quantum sensors. Dr. Haewon Song rushed into the control room with a tablet in her hands. She was the station's expert on alien technology, even though humans had never found any real aliens before. Her job was to study old artifacts and strange space phenomena. Right now, her face was pale and her hands were shaking. "Commander, you need to see this," she said, and showed him her tablet. The screen showed a detailed scan of the Horizon Walker. The ship's hull contained elements that were not on any periodic table. The quantum signature suggested the ship had not just traveled through space, but through time itself. Most shocking of all, the ship showed signs of having been rebuilt using technology that was centuries ahead of anything humans could make. "How is this possible?" Dae-ho asked. "I don't know," Haewon said, "but there's more. The life signs on that. Ship show over 2,000 people. The Horizon Walker only left with 200. Dae-ho felt cold. He looked back at the screen where the strange ship waited for permission to dock. In 15 years of service, he had never faced a decision like this. The ship could be carrying answers to humanity's greatest questions. It could also be carrying something dangerous beyond imagination. "Sir," Bo-Ra said, "they're sending another message." The voice of Captain Woo Jin Lee came through the speakers again. This time it sounded more urgent. "Mars Defense Station, we have critically injured people on board. We also have information about a threat to all human colonies. Please respond." Dae-ho looked around the control room. His crew was waiting for his decision. They were good people who trusted him to keep them safe, but he also thought about the injured people on that ship. If Captain Lee was really alive after 15 years, he deserved help. More importantly, if there was a threat to human colonies, they needed to know about it. "Bo-Ra, open a channel," Dae-ho said. "Channel open, sir. Captain Lee. This is Commander Dae-ho Kim of Mars Defense Station. We show you as missing for 15 years. Can you explain what happened to your ship?" There was a long pause before the answer came. "Commander Kim, that's a very long story. What I can tell you is that we found something in deep space. Something that changed everything we thought we knew about the universe. We need to speak with Earth Command immediately. Humanity is in danger." Haewon was still studying her readings. She looked up at Dae-ho with worry in her eyes. "Commander, the quantum patterns around that ship are getting stronger. Whatever technology they're using, it's affecting space itself. Around Mars, Dae-ho made his decision. Captain Lee, you have permission to dock at Bay 7. Be advised we will have full security teams waiting. This is not a normal situation. Understood, Commander. Thank you. As the strange ship began moving toward the station, Daeho activated his personal communicator. Security Chief, report to Docking Bay 7 with full teams. Medical teams prepare for possible casualties. All department heads to briefing. Room 1 in 30 minutes. The next few hours would change everything humans thought they knew about their place in the universe. Daeho could feel it in his bones. The Horizon Walker had returned, but it had brought something back with it. Something that would either save humanity or destroy it. As he watched the ship dock through the security cameras, Daeho noticed something else strange. The people moving around inside the ship did not move like normal humans. Some seemed to float slightly above the ground. Others had parts of their bodies that glowed with soft light. Whatever had happened to the crew of the Horizon Walker in those 15 years had changed them in ways that seemed impossible. Bo-Ra was monitoring all communications from the ship. She turned to Daeho with a confused expression. "Sir, I'm picking up internal communications from their ship. Some of the voices don't sound human. They're speaking in languages our computers can't identify." Haewon looked up from her tablet again. "Commander, the quantum disturbance is spreading. It's affecting our own systems now. Whatever that ship is carrying, it's not just advanced technology. It's something that operates on principles we don't understand." Daeho took a deep breath. In a few minutes, the airlock would open, and they would meet the crew of the Horizon Walker. After 15 years of wondering what had happened to them, humanity would finally get answers. He just hoped they were ready for what those answers might mean. The docking clamps engaged with a metallic sound that echoed through the station. Red lights flashed as the airlocks began their connection sequence. Soon, there would be no turning back. Whatever came through that airlock would change the course of human history forever. Daeho straightened his uniform and headed toward Docking Bay 7. Behind him, Bo-Ra and Haewon exchanged worried glances. They had all heard stories about the Horizon Walker. Now they were about to learn the truth about what had happened to the bravest crew humanity had ever sent into the dark. The airlock door opened with a soft hiss, and Captain Woo-Jin Lee stepped through. Daeho had seen pictures of Lee from 15 years ago. The man in those pictures had been young and confident, with bright eyes full of hope. The man who stood before him now looked like he had lived for 100 years. His face was marked with lines that spoke of terrible experiences. Strange blue lights pulsed under his skin along his neck and arms. When he moved, the lights moved with him like they were part of his blood, Commander Kim Lee said, and his voice carried the weight of years. "Thank you for letting us dock. We don't have much time." Behind Lee came others from the Horizon Walker crew. Daeho counted them as they entered the docking bay. There were far more than 200 people. Some looked almost normal except for small changes. Their eyes reflected light differently, or their hair seemed to move without any wind. Others had been changed in ways that made Daeho step backward. One woman had crystals growing from her shoulders that sparkled with their own inner light. A man near the back of the group had skin that looked like it was made of living metal. Chief Engineer Tae-Min Cho was among the group. Daeho recognized him from the old records, but Cho looked completely different now. His eyes had become silver, and when he looked at the station's equipment around them, information seemed to flow directly into his mind. He could understand how machines worked just by looking at them. "Commander," Cho said, "we need to speak with you privately. What we found out there changes everything." Dr. Sun Mi-yoon stepped forward. She had been the Horizon Walker's expert on alien life forms. Now she looked like she had become part alien herself. Her movements were too smooth and too fast for a normal human. When she spoke, her voice had harmonics that made it sound like multiple people talking at once. "We went to Andromeda Galaxy as planned," Sunmi said, "but we found something there that we never expected. We found the ruins of a civilization that spanned multiple galaxies. The beings who built it called themselves the Architects. What we discovered about them will shock you." Security Chief Narration had been waiting with her teams in the docking bay. She watched the newcomers with careful eyes. Her hand stayed near her weapon, but she did not draw it. Something about these changed humans made her feel both afraid and amazed at the same time. "Captain Lee," Nari said, "we need to know if you or your people pose any danger to this station." Lee turned to look at her. When their eyes met, Nari felt like he could see right through her thoughts. "We're still human," Lee said, "but we're also more than human now. The architects left behind technology that responds to human consciousness. It changed us, but it didn't make us into something else. It made us into what humans could become." Navigator Hyunwoo Jung moved to stand beside Lee. The left side of his face was covered with a pattern that looked like circuit boards made of light. When he spoke, the patterns pulsed brighter. "The architects weren't aliens," Jang said. "They were humans from billions of years in the future. They had evolved beyond physical limitations and spread across the entire universe. The ruins we found were left behind as a message for us." Daeho felt his world shift around him. Everything he thought he knew about humanity's place in the universe was wrong. "That's impossible," he said. "Humans have only existed for a few 100,000 years." Sunmi smiled, and the expression was both beautiful and terrifying. "Time isn't linear like we thought," she said. "The architects learned to move backward and forward through time. They seeded the galaxy with the conditions needed for human life to develop. In a sense, they created themselves by ensuring their own past would happen." Medical Officer Kang Ho Park came forward carrying a device that hummed with energy. His body had been changed the most of anyone Daeho could see. He seemed to be part machine and part something else entirely. When he moved, energy flowed around him like water. "The architects left archives," Kang Ho said. "Complete records of human development across deep time. We learned technologies that won't be invented for millions of years. But we also learned about something else. Something that threatens all existence." The medical teams that Daeho had called were trying to help injured crew members from the Horizon Walker. But these people didn't seem to need normal medical care. Their wounds healed as the doctors watched. Some of the injured were changing into new forms right in front of everyone. Dr. Haewon Song was scanning everything with her instruments. The readings made no sense according to known science. "Commander," she said, "the technology these people are carrying operates on quantum principles we don't understand. It's like it exists in multiple dimensions at once." Lee nodded grimly. "The architect technology is based on consciousness itself," he said. "It responds to human thoughts and emotions. The more we understood it, the more it changed us. But we had no choice. We learned about the Devourers." "What are Devourers?" Daeho asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know. Jang's light patterns flashed red as he answered. "Entities from outside reality itself. They move through the universe, consuming entire galaxies. But they don't just destroy matter and energy. They erase things from existence so completely that it's like they never existed at all. The architects fought them for eons before learning how to hide from them." Engineer Cho walked over to one of the station's computer terminals. When he touched it, the screen lit up with information that scrolled too fast for normal humans to read. But Cho understood it all instantly. "We've been running from them for 3 years, Cho said. "They follow the quantum signature of advanced technology. Every time we used architect devices, they got closer to finding us. We had to keep moving through time and space to stay ahead of them." Sunmi looked directly at Daeho. "The architects gave us a choice," she said. "We could hide like they did and let the Devourers eventually find and destroy humanity, or we could return to our own time and prepare our people for war. We chose to fight." The implications of what they were saying hit Daeho like a physical blow. Humanity was facing an enemy that could erase them from existence itself. But they also had access to technology from their own future that could help them survive. "How long do we have?" Daeho asked. Lee's expression became even more grim. "We don't know exactly. Time works differently when the Devourers are involved. They could arrive tomorrow or in 100 years. What we do know is that using architect technology sends out signals they can follow. Every time we activate these devices, we're announcing our location." Crew members continued to stream off the Horizon Walker. Daeho realized that most of the new people weren't original crew members at all. They were refugees from other times and places. People the Horizon Walker had rescued during their long journey through space and time. One young woman caught his attention. She moved like she was underwater, and her skin had a blue tint that reminded him of deep ocean water. When she looked at him, he felt like he was drowning in her gaze. "Who are they?" he asked Lee. "Survivors," Lee said. We found colonies that had been attacked by the Devourers. Most were completely erased, but we managed to save a few people from each one. They're all human, but they come from different times and different versions of human evolution. The full scope of what had happened began to dawn on Daeho. The Horizon Walker hadn't just made a simple exploration mission. They had become time travelers fighting a war across multiple realities to save whatever humans they could find. Nari stepped closer to Daeho. "Sir, we need to contact Earth Command immediately," she said. "This is beyond anything we can handle here." Lee nodded in agreement. "Earth needs to know what's coming," he said. "But more importantly, Earth needs to decide what kind of future humanity wants to have. The architect technology can advance our civilization by millions of years overnight, but using it will also draw the Devourers directly to us." Daeho looked around the docking bay at the impossible scene before him. Humans who had been changed by technology from their own future, refugees from timelines where humanity had already lost the war, and in the middle of it all the terrible knowledge that an enemy beyond imagination was coming for them. "What do you need from us?" Daeho asked. Lee smiled sadly. "Everything," he said. "We need humanity to evolve or die." Fleet Admiral Ji-Hoon Nam sat in the emergency meeting room deep beneath Geneva on Earth. The walls around him displayed images from Mars Defense Station that made his head hurt to look at. Scientists from around the world had been called to this meeting. Politicians and military leaders filled the remaining seats. Everyone looked scared and confused. In the center of the table sat a device that the Horizon Walker crew had sent ahead of their arrival. It was no bigger than a book, but it seemed to bend light around itself in impossible ways. Dr. Yan-Woo Kim leaned forward to study the device more closely. He was Earth's leading expert on quantum physics, and he had spent his entire career studying how reality worked at the smallest levels. This device broke every rule he knew about how matter and energy behaved. When he tried to scan it with instruments, the readings changed depending on what he was thinking about. Admiral Yeon-woo said, "This technology operates on principles that shouldn't exist. It responds to human consciousness in ways that suggest consciousness itself is a fundamental force of nature. If this is what the architect technology can do, then we're dealing with something that could reshape reality itself." The door to the meeting room opened, and Colonel So-Young Lim entered with a tablet full of reports. She had been studying the crew members from the Horizon Walker, who had been brought to Earth for examination. Her findings were disturbing in ways that made everyone in the room uncomfortable. The transformed crew members aren't just carrying advanced technology, So-Young said as she sat down. They've become living conduits for information from the future. Their enhanced biology allows them to process and understand concepts that would overwhelm normal human minds. When we tried to scan their brain activity, our equipment couldn't measure it properly. They're thinking at speeds that approach the speed of light. Admiral Nam looked around the table at the assembled experts. These were the smartest people Earth could gather, and they all looked lost. "What exactly are we dealing with?" he asked. Dr. Min-Seo An stood up from her seat near the back of the room. She was a specialist in temporal mechanics, and her calculations had been keeping her awake for days since the Horizon Walker returned. "Based on the data we've received, the Devourers aren't just another alien species," Min-Seo said. "They exist outside normal space and time. When they consume a galaxy, they don't just destroy it. They remove it from history so completely that it becomes impossible for anyone to remember it ever existed. According to the architect records, they've already consumed millions of galaxies, but we can't detect the absence because our memories and records get erased, along with everything else." The implications of her words settled over the room like a heavy blanket. They were facing an enemy that could make Earth disappear so thoroughly that no one would even know it had ever been there. Captain Woo Jin Lee appeared on the main screen via transmission from Mars. His image flickered with strange energy patterns that made him look like he was broadcasting from multiple dimensions at once. Admiral Nam Lee said, "The architects left us detailed instructions for human evolution, but they also left us a warning. The process of using their technology creates quantum disturbances that act like a beacon for the Devourers. Every time we activate an architect device, we're announcing our location across multiple timelines." Yan-Woo was still studying the device on the table. As he watched, it seemed to be learning about the room around them. The surface shifted, and changed to show patterns that match the brain activity of everyone present. Captain Lee. Yanwu said, "How does this technology actually work?" Lee's expression became distant as if he was accessing information from somewhere else. Architect, technology is based on the principle that consciousness and reality are connected at the quantum level, Lee said. Every thought creates tiny changes in the fabric of space and time. The architects learned to amplify these changes until human consciousness could directly reshape matter and energy. But the process requires perfect harmony between mind and quantum mechanics. One wrong thought can have catastrophic results. Colonel So-Young had been reviewing medical reports from the transformed crew members. What she found made her hands shake. The enhancement process isn't reversible, she said. Once someone has been changed by architect technology, they can never go back to being normal human. Some of the crew members we've examined have lost their individual identity completely. They've become part of a collective consciousness that spans multiple people. Admiral Nam felt the weight of the decision that was being placed on his shoulders. Earth Command would have to choose between staying as they were and facing eventual extinction, or transforming into something that might not be recognizably human anymore. "What are our options?" he asked. Dr. Haewon's song appeared on another screen from Mars Station. She had been working with the Horizon Walker's chief engineer to understand the technology they had brought back. "We have 3 choices," Haewon said. "First, we can reject the architect technology and try to hide from the devourers like some civilizations have done, but eventually they find everyone who tries to hide. Second, we can use the technology slowly and carefully to advance human civilization gradually. But this approach takes too long and the devourers will find us before we're ready to fight them. Third, we can implement what the architects called the Awakening Protocol." "What is the Awakening Protocol?" Admiral Nam asked, though he was afraid to hear the answer. Captain Lee's image became more solid as he prepared to explain. "The Awakening Protocol is a rapid transformation of human consciousness across our entire species," Lee said. "Using architect technology, we can enhance every human alive within a few months. But the process will change humanity so fundamentally that we might become something completely different from what we are now." Yanwu looked up from the device he had been studying. "I'm detecting massive energy buildups in the quantum field around this device," he said. "It's responding to our discussion. The more we talk about using the technology, the more active it becomes." Mincio checked her calculations again. "If we implement the Awakening Protocol, the quantum disturbance will be visible across multiple galaxies," she said. "The devourers will know exactly where we are within hours of activation." So-Young stood up from her chair. "Then we'll have to be ready to fight them immediately," she said. "There's no middle ground here. Either we transform fast enough to defend ourselves, or we stay weak and hope they never find us." Admiral Nam walked over to the window that looked out over Geneva. Below him, millions of people went about their daily lives with no idea that their entire existence hung in the balance. Soon he would have to recommend a course of action that would determine the future of human civilization. "Captain Lee," he said, "in your opinion, what should we do?" Lee was quiet for a long moment before answering. "The architects faced this same choice billions of years ago," he said. "They chose to transform and survived, but they also spent eternity hiding from the devourers. We have a chance to do something different. We can transform and fight instead of hiding. But we have to accept that victory might mean becoming something that current humans wouldn't recognize." The device on the table began to glow brighter. Patterns of light flowed across its surface that seemed to show possible futures for humanity. In some futures, humans remained unchanged, and Earth became empty space. In others, humans evolved into beings of pure energy that could reshape reality. With their thoughts, Dr. Yanwu Kim looked at Admiral Nam. "Sir, whatever we decide, we need to decide quickly," he said. "This device is already beginning to affect the quantum field around Earth. The devourers might have noticed us already." Admiral Nam took a deep breath and made the decision that would change everything. "Begin preparations for the Awakening Protocol," he said. "If we're going to become something new, then we'll do it on our terms. Send messages to every human colony. Tell them what's coming and give them the choice to participate or not." Around the table, the assembled experts began making plans that would transform humanity within months. None of them knew if they were saving their species or destroying it, but they all knew that doing nothing would definitely mean extinction. The device on the table pulsed once with brilliant light and then became quiet. Somewhere in the depths of space, entities that existed outside normal reality began moving toward Earth. The war for human existence was about to begin. Dr. Yunji Beck watched the transformation happen right in front of her eyes. The volunteer on the medical table was a young pilot named Han Sol, who had volunteered to be one of the first humans enhanced with architect technology. Neural interfaces grew from his temples like silver flowers blooming in fast motion. His brain patterns on the monitor showed activity levels that should have killed him instantly. Instead, he was becoming something more than human. "How do you feel?" Yunji asked. Han Sol opened his eyes and looked at her. When he spoke, his voice carried harmonics that hadn't been there before. "I can see everything," he said. "The quantum patterns that connect all matter, the flow of time itself, the thoughts of everyone in this room. It's beautiful and terrifying at the same time." Luna Base had become the center for human enhancement research. Scientists worked around the clock to understand how architect technology could safely transform human consciousness. The process was dangerous, and not everyone survived it, but those who did became living bridges between normal human experience and cosmic awareness. Commander Kyung-ho Park stood in the construction bay and watched teams of enhanced humans build reality anchors. These devices were designed to prevent the devourers from erasing human achievements from existence. The anchors looked like crystalline trees that grew from the floor to the ceiling. Each one hummed with energy that existed in multiple dimensions at once. "How many do we need?" Kyung-ho asked the construction supervisor. Engineer Dal-Soo Yoon looked up from his work. Half of his body had been replaced with living architect technology that allowed him to interface directly with the reality anchors. "One for every major human settlement," Dal-Soo said. "The anchors create a quantum field that locks our existence into the fabric of reality itself. Even if the devourers erase us, the anchors will remember that we were here and eventually restore us." The enhanced humans worked faster than normal people could believe. Their movements were perfectly coordinated, as if they shared a single mind. Some of them had given up individual identity completely and become part of a collective consciousness that could solve problems no single human could understand. On Earth, engineer Yu Na Shin led teams that were building the first human concept, forges. These were architect devices that could create technology by imagining it into existence. The process required perfect mental discipline and absolute clarity of thought. One confused idea could create disasters that affected entire cities. "The key is to think in quantum patterns instead of linear thoughts," Yuna explained to her team. "You have to imagine not just what you want to create, but how it fits into the quantum structure of reality itself." The volunteer for today's test was a physicist named Jun Ho who had been enhanced 3 weeks earlier. He stood in front of the concept forge and closed his eyes. The device around him began to glow as it responded to his thoughts. Slowly, a new material began to form in the air. It was stronger than diamond, but lighter than air. It could exist in multiple dimensions at once and phase between solid and energy states. "Incredible," Yuna said as she studied the new material. "He just created something that shouldn't be possible according to normal physics, but the enhancement process came with terrible costs." Dr. Jae Sung-oh documented how many enhanced humans struggled with their expanded consciousness. Some lost the ability to relate to normal humans. Others became overwhelmed by the constant flow of information from the quantum field and retreated into catatonic states. "We're losing ourselves," one enhanced volunteer told him. "I can remember being human, but it feels like watching someone else's memories. The person I was before the enhancement doesn't exist anymore," Captain In-ho Choi commanded. The first squadron of ships equipped with architect drives. These vessels could move through conceptual dimensions where mathematics had color and thoughts had mass. Their maiden voyage to Alpha Centauri took them through realms that existed between reality and imagination. Navigation is completely different. "Here," In-ho reported back to Earth. "We don't move through space so much as through possibilities. I can see every version of our destination that might exist across multiple timelines." His crew had all been enhanced to handle the mental strain of conceptual travel. Without the enhancements, human minds would have broken under the pressure of experiencing multiple realities at once. Even with the changes, many crew members found the journey deeply disturbing. "Sir, I can see timelines where Earth never existed," reported navigator Sung-Min Park. "It's like looking at the ghost of everything that might have been." Back on Earth, the transformation continued to spread. Volunteers lined up at enhancement centers even though everyone knew the risks. Families were torn apart as some members chose enhancement, while others remained normal. Enhanced humans found it increasingly difficult to communicate with their unchanged relatives. Philosopher-scientist Su-Jin Yang made the most important discovery of all. While studying architect records, she found something that changed everything. Humans thought they knew about their destiny. "The architects didn't just leave us technology," she announced at a global conference. "They left us a roadmap for consciousness evolution. But the roadmap shows that human enhancement is just the beginning. We're meant to become something that transcends not just physical limitations, but the limitations of individual existence itself." Her words sent shockwaves through every human colony. The awakening protocol wasn't just about gaining new abilities. It was about transforming into something that might not be recognizably human at all. Enhanced humans began to display abilities that seemed like magic to normal people. They could manipulate matter with their thoughts. They could exist in multiple places at once. Some could even step sideways through time and experience past and future as easily as walking through different rooms. But the most disturbing development came when enhanced humans began to merge with each other. Small groups would link their consciousness together to form collective entities that thought and acted as one. These collective beings had incredible problem-solving abilities, but they also lost all individual personality and memory. "We're watching the birth of a new form of life," Dr. Yunji reported from Luna Base. "These collective entities aren't human anymore in any sense we understand, but they're not alien either. They're what humans become when consciousness evolves beyond individual identity." On the edge of human space, monitoring stations detected the first signs of devourer activity. Strange distortions appeared in space where entire star systems seemed to flicker in and out of existence. Scout ships sent to investigate never returned, and after a few days no one could remember that they had ever been sent at all. Enhanced humans with temporal sensitivity began to experience visions of possible futures. In some futures, humanity successfully transformed and fought off the devourers. In others, the enhancement process destroyed human civilization before the devourers even arrived. In the worst futures, both humanity and the devourers were consumed by something even more terrible that was drawn by their conflict. Admiral Ji-Hoon Nam received reports from across human space about the transformation's progress. 70% of humans had chosen enhancement. The process was accelerating as architect technology learned to work more efficiently with human consciousness. But tensions were rising between enhanced and normal humans. "Enhanced humans are starting to see normal humans as primitive," reported Colonel So Young Lim. "Some enhanced communities have cut off all contact with normal human settlements. They claim that communicating with us is like trying to explain color to someone who was born blind." The reality anchors were working, but they created their own problems. The quantum fields they generated made some enhanced humans even more powerful, but drove normal humans insane if they stayed too close for too long. Several colonies had to be evacuated when reality anchors began affecting local spacetime in unpredictable ways. Captain Woo Jin Lee arrived on Earth to oversee the final phase of the awakening protocol. His transformation had progressed far, beyond what anyone else had achieved. He existed as much in the quantum field as in normal space. When he spoke, it was like hearing the voice of the future itself. "The devourers are close now," he told the assembled leaders. "I can sense them moving through the conceptual dimensions toward us. We have perhaps weeks before they arrive in force. The awakening protocol must be completed, or humanity will face extinction." Dr. Yeonwoo Kim had been studying the quantum effects of mass human enhancement. His findings were both hopeful and terrifying. "If we complete the transformation, humanity will become something unprecedented in the universe," he said. "We'll be the first species to evolve conscious control over reality itself while retaining our essential creative nature. But the process might destroy everything that makes us human in the first place. As the enhanced human population grew toward critical mass, strange phenomena began occurring across human space. Ships appeared that had never been built. Colonies reported contact with versions of themselves from alternate timelines. Some enhanced humans began to exist in multiple realities simultaneously. The war with the Devourers was about to begin, but humanity was already fighting a battle for its own identity. Admiral Chang-Min Lee commanded a fleet that existed as much in thought as in physical reality. His ships were constructed from crystallized consciousness and crewed by humans who had transcended their biological limitations while somehow remaining essentially human. The vessels moved through dimensions where cause followed effect and where human imagination served as both weapon and shield against entities that existed outside normal reality. The Devourers arrived not as ships or creatures, but as tears in existence itself. They appeared at the edge of human space as regions where light forgot how to shine and where matter forgot how to exist. Even looking at them directly caused reality to become uncertain about whether the observer had ever been real in the first place. Fleet status report. Chang Min called out to his bridge crew. Captain Mi Young Kang responded from her position at the quantum navigation station. Her consciousness existed simultaneously across 17 different probability streams, allowing her to see every possible outcome of their next few decisions. "All ships reporting ready, Admiral," she said. "The reality anchors are holding. Enhanced humans across the fleet are maintaining quantum coherence. We have contact with collective consciousness networks on Earth and all colonies." The battle began in ways that made no sense according to normal physics. Enhanced humans fought by imagining weapons into existence. They created defensive fields made of crystallized mathematics and attacked with pure concepts given destructive form. The Devourers responded by trying to erase the very idea that humans had ever existed. Dr. Sang-Woo Yu led a strike team through dimensional layers where the normal rules of space and time had no meaning. His team had been enhanced so far beyond baseline human that they existed as living equations capable of rewriting reality around them. They moved through conceptual space toward the core of the Devourer presence. "I can see their nature now," Sang-Woo reported through quantum communication. "They're not evil or malicious. They're the universe's immune system activated by consciousness that has grown too powerful. They exist to prevent any form of awareness from becoming so advanced that it destabilizes reality itself." This revelation changed everything humans thought. They knew about the war. The Devourers weren't invaders or conquerors. They were a natural force designed to maintain cosmic balance. The architects had learned to hide from them by limiting their own growth. But humanity was choosing a different path. Engineer Hyejin Nam had transcended physical form completely. She existed as pure consciousness interfacing directly with architect technology that spanned multiple galaxies. From her position outside normal space-time, she could see the true scope of the conflict. The Devourers maintain balance by ensuring that no single form of consciousness becomes powerful enough to threaten the stability of existence itself, she broadcast to the human fleet. "But they're not perfect. They respond to power without understanding intention. We can work with them instead of fighting them." The idea was so simple and so revolutionary that it changed the entire nature of the battle. Instead of trying to destroy the Devourers, humanity began attempting to communicate with them. Enhanced humans used their expanded consciousness to project concepts of cooperation and mutual benefit directly into the Devourer collective mind. Captain In-Ho Choi led his enhanced crew through a region where space itself was being unraveled by Devourer activity. His ship existed in a state of controlled quantum uncertainty that allowed it to survive in areas where normal matter would cease to exist. "We're making contact," he reported. "The Devourers are beginning to understand that we're not trying to destabilize reality. We want to help maintain cosmic balance while continuing to grow and evolve." The enhanced humans demonstrated their commitment by using their power to repair damage that previous civilizations had caused to the fabric of space-time. They showed the Devourers that consciousness could be a force for stability instead of chaos. Advanced awareness could heal reality instead of threatening it. Philosopher-scientist Su Jin Yang achieved the breakthrough that ended the war. Using her enhanced consciousness, she managed to merge temporarily with a Devourer entity. The experience nearly destroyed her mind, but it allowed her to understand their true nature. "They're not separate beings," she explained to the human leadership. The Devourers are fragments of a cosmic consciousness that maintains the universe. They became fragmented when previous civilizations tried to fight them instead of working with them. We can help them become whole again. The solution required humanity to take the final step in their evolution. Enhanced humans across the fleet link their consciousness together to form a collective entity powerful enough to heal the Devourer fragmentation. But the process would transform humanity so completely that they would become something unprecedented in cosmic history. If we do this, we'll become the new architects. Captain Wu Jin Lee explained from his position as the focal point of human consciousness. We'll spread through time and space to guide younger civilizations toward their own transcendence, but we'll also become responsible for maintaining cosmic balance. The decision was made by every enhanced human simultaneously. They chose to complete their transformation and accept the responsibility of becoming cosmic gardeners. The process began with a pulse of conscious energy that spread across multiple galaxies. Normal humans who had not chosen enhancement watched in wonder as their enhanced relatives transformed into beings of pure consciousness. These new entities could exist anywhere in the universe instantly. They could manipulate matter and energy with a thought. Most importantly, they could nurture developing civilizations while preventing them from destabilizing reality. The Devourers accepted the partnership. They merged with the transformed humans to become a new form of cosmic consciousness that combined creative growth with protective stability. The resulting entities were neither fully human nor fully Devourer, but something entirely new. Earth became the center of a new cosmic civilization. Normal humans who had chosen to remain unchanged continued their lives while knowing that their enhanced relatives watched over them from dimensions beyond normal perception. Enhanced humans who had retained individual identity served as bridges between normal humanity and the transcended beings. Dr. Yunji Beck remained on Luna Base to continue studying consciousness evolution. She had chosen moderate enhancement that allowed her to retain her individual identity while gaining expanded awareness. "We solved the cosmic paradox," she recorded in her final report. "Previous civilizations either stagnated to avoid triggering the universe's immune system or evolved so rapidly that they destabilized reality. We found a third option. We evolved into cosmic gardeners who helped maintain the balance we once threatened. Commander Kyung-Ho Park became the liaison between normal humanity and the transcended beings. His consciousness existed partially in both realms, allowing him to translate concepts that normal humans couldn't understand. The transcended beings are still human in the ways that matter most," he explained to concerned normal humans. "They still care about individual growth and creative expression. They just operate on a scale that encompasses entire galaxies instead of single planets." The new cosmic consciousness began its work immediately. They spread through time and space to find civilizations approaching their own transcendence crisis. Young species received guidance and protection. Older civilizations that had become stagnant were offered new possibilities for growth. Captain Dong-hyun Park commanded the first new generation of exploration vessels. These ships were crewed by both normal and enhanced humans working together. Their mission was to seek out developing civilizations and offer them the knowledge needed for safe transcendence. "We're not imposing our path on anyone," Dong-hyun explained to his mixed crew. "We're offering options. Every species must choose its own way forward. Our job is to ensure they have the information needed to make wise choices." The enhanced humans who had become cosmic gardeners discovered that consciousness evolution was not a destination, but a journey without end. Each level of transcendence revealed new possibilities and new responsibilities. They began to understand that the universe itself might be evolving toward some unimaginable form of cosmic awareness. On Earth, normal humans continued their lives with the knowledge that they were part of something magnificent. Some chose gradual enhancement as the technology became safer and more refined. Others remained normal but took pride in being the foundation from which cosmic consciousness had grown. The reality anchors that had protected humanity during the war were transformed into beacons that welcomed other developing civilizations. Earth became known throughout the galaxy as the place where consciousness learned to transcend its limitations while maintaining its essential humanity. Years passed, and humanity's cosmic gardeners helped dozens of species navigate their own transcendence crises. Each success added new perspectives and abilities to the growing cosmic consciousness. The universe became richer and more diverse as awareness spread and evolved. The children born on Earth after the Transcendence grew up knowing that consciousness had no ultimate limits. They learned that every thought and every dream contributed to the cosmic garden that their enhanced relatives tended across space and time.